So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Vincenzo Berghella.
Wow. Thank you, Dean Callahan. First, let me tell you right away, my talk today will be about happiness. So I'm going to take a poll real quick. And don't get worried. This is not a test. You won't be graded. I know that's on your mind. So who wants to be happy in their life? Raise your hand. I'm not going to ask the contrary, but if you don't want to be happy in life, you can take a little nap or go to the bathroom now. It will be a good time. So my warmest welcome to you, class of 2017. My name again is Vincenzo Berghella, and I was class of 1990, and I will always be. I remember actually 23 years ago when coming down from as a senior student in college, when my girlfriend opened the letter with Thomas Jefferson written on it. I still choke thinking about it. And I didn't have the guts to open it, but she opened it, tapped me on the back, and said, "You got in." That day changed my life. All my career successes followed that. I wouldn't have had any. And again, you really should consider yourself privileged because these days are changing your life. Speaking of happiness, I want to thank Dean Tikoczynski for the honor to be the keynote speaker. You heard the keynote speeches already, before me and the ones after me. I really want to give another thank of applause to the mentors here, up here, in the front, in the back. They're the real heroes, the examples to follow. So, who put the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence? You guys know. It's a name that has come up a few times here. So Thomas Jefferson, I think, has been an important name in your life. Is going to be an even more important name going forward. But Ben Franklin also said that the Constitution only guarantees the American people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. But that's what I'm here for. So as a man of science, I will review some data and some scientific data on this. I can give you the references later. 50% of happiness seems to be related to genetics. So later on, when you get back to your parents and family members, you can hug the ones you think you got the good DNA from. And if you didn't get good DNA from some of them, I'll let you decide whatever you want to tell them. But more importantly, 50% of happiness depends on what you do, on your intentional activity, on your choices. So I will review 5 general principles, the keys to being happy. The first one is connectedness. The second one is doing what you like to do. The third one is meaning. The fourth one is dedication. And the fifth one is recognition. So connectedness, the first one, is the most important of all 5. So you're here because of the connectedness you felt as a child. You had unconditional love from one of your parents or somebody else in the family. You felt loved no matter what. And optimism, extroversion, feeling of control over one's life, self-esteem, all come from that. I felt invincible, probably because from my mother I felt unconditional love all my life, even if she was over 5,000 miles away. So now it's time to give back for you. The concept of reciprocity. It's in giving that we receive. So connect with the patient. As a medical student, later as a physician, treat your patient the way you want to be treated. Make them feel you care. So one of my mentors, Mike Foley, tells this story. How would you feel in a week if I came around and said, "You are the best medical student I ever had"? And how would you feel if I took you, under my arm, gently looked you in the eye and said, "Oh, dear, I don't think you have any talent"? So words are important, but it's more important the tone of attitude you have. So be nice, perform random acts of kindness to others as you want to receive them, because that's associated with higher levels of happiness. It's been proven. So as described originally by Adam Grant, a professor here in Philadelphia, there are 3 kinds of people: Givers, takers, matchers. So takers just take. Matchers give only expecting something in return. You should be a giver, somebody who gives no matter what. Givers have no expectation of immediate gain. They're generous, just for the sake of donating. There's actually a study on this. So it's a study you want to participate in because people were given money. And half of them, let's take half of you, were told in the next 24 hours, spend the money on yourself. The other half, randomly, was told, you should spend the money on others. In a day or two, they were polled and they were studied. And again, the levels of happiness were much higher in the ones that donated to others. So again, be a giver. That's the message. Also find a mentor. Don't wait for somebody to take under their wing. Find a good wing and climb up underneath it. Fran Bucaro said that. It's an important quote. Whenever you meet somebody at Jefferson you admire, and you meet many, as you just saw, just try to spend more time with them, try to get to know them. Sir Isaac Newton said, it's only by standing on the shoulders of giants that I've been able to see farther. It's very true. Be part of a team. Once you get connected with a team larger than yourself, family, class, Thomas Jefferson University, you do not want to arm the group by doing wrong or by not giving your best. You will naturally want to do your part to remain a respected and valued member of the group. It feels better to win as a team, not just for yourself. Another part of connectedness is sad but true, and Steve, my classmate here, will remember. In our class at the beginning, we actually lost two of our colleagues. I didn't get to know them very well. One died of anorexia, the other one from falling from the 9th floor. I remember the funerals. It's very hard to remember those times. But the message there is that you need to stay connected. You need to be part of the team. Family and friends, stay close to your loved ones. And you students, please keep your connections. So the second key to happiness is doing what we like to do. Do you remember as a child when you spent hours on your favorite game, and it could be a sport, Legos, whatever else you like to do? You were in flow. You were just forgetting where you were, who you were, what time it was. So much you liked, what you were doing. So play to your strengths, because that's another key to personal and professional success. Challenge yourself, because you'll discover yourself by challenging yourself. A year ago, I was talking with a high school friend of mine, the other guy who got straight A's in high school with me. I was the scientist, he was the philosopher. I always highly admired him. He told me I was lucky. I was lucky because I discovered myself. I've been challenged, and I discovered my strengths and weaknesses. He said, I wanted to do more. I stayed a high school teacher, and I was never challenged. I don't know who I am. I don't really know what I can do. That's a story that stayed with me. You will discover yourself. Here at Jefferson, you can tell mentors and teachers not only will challenge you, but will help you realize your strengths, will tell you what you're good at, so that you can contribute to the health and happiness of human being doing what you like to do best, what you're best at. And you get to play a lot during medical school. I remember as a third year, I was holding somebody's heart in my hand. I scrubbed with the team doing bypass surgery. Actually, even before that, they let me harvest the saphenous vein, which they then transplanted the heart that I was holding. Being part of that team really made me feel special and made me feel important, and you will feel important. Third key to happiness is finding a greater meaning in what we like to do. Meaning is belonging to something bigger than just ourselves. We're lucky, as what we like to do coincides with saving lives, improving people's health, so it's something that is of greater value to others and to society. Having a successful career just really means that you found something to play with, to play at, that others are willing to pay for, because it is important. So there is a difference between a job, a career, and a calling. A job you just have to do. A career, maybe you enjoy the pay raises. But we have a calling. Medicine is a calling. Obstetrics for me is a calling. I spend time with women who want or are pregnant, who believe in life, who create new life. I take care of various pregnancies with either the mother or the fetus sick. with problems. I remember a couple of cases. I'll tell you about Amy, who came years ago after she had lost a baby in the previous pregnancy because the baby had a major hemorrhage in the head. We discovered that this was due to something called neonatal autoimmune thrombocytopenia. It's a disease in which the platelets get killed by the mother's antibody. And so the baby has no platelets and bleeds in the head, usually. That disease gets worse every pregnancy. She wanted a big family. I'll make the long story short, she had gone to a lot of doctors. She now has 5 healthy sons. We were able to help her with the right therapy. Part of that was transfusing platelets, sometimes every week, through most of her pregnancy, through an umbilical vessel that was less than a millimeter big during the pregnancy, while she was awake, and obviously the baby was moving inside her. I cannot tell you the thank you letters and the thank you hugs we got from her. Not a quick case. There'll be a lot of ethical cases you'll deal with during your paths in medical school and later on as doctors. She was a 43-year-old Orthodox Jewish woman. She had 7 kids at home. She didn't seek much care before 9 months. She went to another doctor who found that her baby had no brain. She was carrying an anencephalic baby. All of those babies die soon after birth, or sometimes during birth, that actually don't tolerate labor and die inside of mom. So she wanted to have a C-section because she wanted this baby to be born alive and spend a few minutes. In her case, it ended up being 2 hours to bond with the baby. I was the one eventually who agreed to this. I still don't know if it was the right thing to do, but I can tell you that she was very happy despite the terrible circumstances. She spent time with the baby. She had time to grieve. And again, some of the best thank you letters, some of the most gratitude I got from patients like her. Your positive effect is not only limited to your own patients and their family. You can make a big difference in global health. I can affect the fate of 130 million birds in the world every year. By doing research, writing guidelines, you can affect the management of any disease you do research on. The responsibility is enormous. Dream big. Several of the great scientific discoveries were made by men your age. Einstein, the theory of relativity, 25. Watson, structured DNA, 24-year-old. DeBakey, artificial heart pump, 23. Get ready. This is your chance. Relish the difficult. Revolutionize medicine. I mean it. So having goals is strongly associated with higher levels of happiness. Happiness is action. I'll tell you a little bit of a story on that. So a blind man goes to visit a friend. At the end of the day, the blind man says bye and says, "Oh, can you give me a candle for my way back home?" So the friend goes, "Look, you're a blind man. I'd like to give you a candle, but what do you need it for?" And he said, "Oh, don't worry. This is not for me. This is so other people can see where I'm going and don't bump into me." Okay, the friend says, "That makes sense. I understand you've done this millions of times, but if you want to carry a candle, that makes sense." So he takes the candle, goes on to his path back home. But the blind man, about 50 minutes into his journey, bumps into somebody, falls down. So that's actually the end of the story. What happened? What happened is that the candle had gone out. It burned out. So the meaning of the story really is that you need to go through life with your candle lit. You have to make sure people see you. If we don't carry a light while going through a path, we go through life without being noticed, without ever making a difference. Carry a bright candle. Make a difference. Fourth key to happiness is dedication. When you're doing what you love, you want to do it as hard as you can. All the successful people I know and in history worked very hard at what they like to do. The Beatles, for example, as you know, work 8 hours a day, every day, even on weekends in Germany, where they're a young and unknown band from Liverpool. And you can think Beethoven, Michael Jordan, anybody you like. They work constantly. They were dedicated to practicing their skill. My motto is, the harder I work, the luckier I get. It has worked all my life. And actually, I think that some competition, not too extreme, is a good thing. I remember as a first-year medical student, going back to remember as a medical student, they used to post our grades with our names on that publicly. And I remember seeing one of the first tests, and after my name was an 89. It was my first grade like that. And it's a rude awakening. You're among a lot of smart people. One of the keys to being happy is to being able to offer a little defeat once in a while, but never lose heart. I finally realized I couldn't do it all by myself. I needed to work with others sometimes better than myself, which is great, and also play to my strengths. For example, for me, hard work is, having worked on those medical textbooks that came out, seeing them selling well, the self-motivation that comes from an accomplishment like that keeps you going. You don't need a parent to tell you, keep on working. You just want to work hard because you see that huge impact you can have. The fifth and last key to happiness is recognition, is the pat on the back. Is the feeling of being valued by others, especially others whose opinion the persons respect. Personally, becoming a doctor allowed me to get praises from the people I highly admired. First and foremost, my dad, and later on my mentors. When you learn to do something well and someone else values this achievement of yours, you feel not only a sense of personal pride, but also a feeling of being connected with someone else, with the person you idolized, and now is recognizing what you have done. You feel a sense of connection with your profession, in my case, with all pregnant women in the world, with the students, with everybody around you. But perhaps the best recognition comes from grateful patients, as I told you before. A thankful patient never forgets you. Recognition is a natural validator of what we're doing, that what we're doing is worth. This then motivates you to want to do more. But don't get recognition go to your head. I get reminded of this every Wednesday night when at home my wife reminds me, take the trash out. We do feel superhuman sometimes, not because of our abilities, but because of the privilege we have in helping others. Family and friends should help us bring us back to reality. I want to thank Paula for being the best co-pilot I could ever have. So in summary, do not leave happiness to chance alone. Happy people do not sit around waiting for happiness to come to them. They make things happen. Be connected with your peers and with your patients. Be caring and compassionate. Human relationships and connections of all kinds contribute more to happiness than anything else. Find mentors. Be part of a team. People are the most important thing. Do what you like to do. Play to your strengths. Dream big. Find engagement and meaning in your calling. And your calling is medicine. Be positive. All delight. So that people not only can see you, but can follow your lead to health and happiness. You can make a huge difference in any patient and person you come in contact with. You have an amazing opportunity. Make it count. Today is the day you enter the calling of being a healer. Be a giver. Go and save the world. And thank you very much.